Hey there, everybody, and it is Timeout Tuesday. It is episode 107, 107 weeks we've been doing these Timeout Tuesdays, every Tuesday, roughly somewhere between 12:30 and 1:30, I guess it would be a better way to say it rather than at 12:30 every day. But I do appreciate everyone that has watched our videos and commented about our videos as time passes. I try my best not to duplicate content. Every once in a while I might tell the same story twice. Who doesn't? Today's video was titled, Yes Sir, Yes Ma'am, We Are a Black Belt School. And then right afterwards I kind of said, shh, there's no need to yell. And, for those of you who have not spent a lot of time in other martial arts schools, you may not really know what I'm talking about. But I attended several schools in the past when I was beginning my training, and I've witnessed a lot of other classes and seen a lot of other videos and watched a lot of instructors posting videos of their school. And there's a really common behavior that's done at many karate schools. It's not that I'm saying it's right or wrong. Everyone can, do whatever they like, to each their own. That's certainly one of my most important mantras. But this is not something that I like. And the thing that I'm talking about is, under the auspice of teaching respect and perseverance and other things, there's a tendency to get the kids screaming and yelling certain phrases over and over again throughout every single class. And I don't know, my opinion is that it puts on a show, but it doesn't really necessarily teach anybody anything. And the reason why I don't necessarily believe it teaches anybody anything is that the words themselves become a fixture over time. If every single time someone screams an instruction to me, at the end of their instruction, so what the instructors do a lot of times is they'll say things like, all right, everybody down in push-up position, yes, sir. And then everybody's supposed to reply back, yes, sir. I find it to be a funny behavior because not only am I feeding them the instruction, but I'm feeding them the response. And so it kind of becomes this really more imitation, mimicking kind of a thing. And I think that the words become sort of conflated with the activity versus an element of respect. And so for that reason, I don't like that. Again, to each their own. It works in other schools. But we certainly believe in teaching respect and courtesy, perseverance, and all these other things. We just tend to do it through a different way. Number one, we do it by example. So our instructors are very respectful to each other on the dojo floor. Our instructors are very respectful to the students on the dojo floor and to the rest of our staff and to the parents that are in the room, where it's always about being respectful. And we expect that respect and courtesy, in kind. And we'll certainly point out to somebody on the floor if they could have used words like excuse me rather than move, or please rather than get out of my way, or very simple things like that. So we certainly lead by example. One of the things that we also do throughout the course of our training is that the students are required to learn two sets of, I guess, sentences or phrases would be the way to describe them. One thing is called the dojo kuns, and there are 5 relatively short sentences. And the second one are a little bit more complicated, and there are 10 of those things called the guiding principles. They begin learning the dojo kuns fairly early on. Right when they start training, they have a requirement to learn the first or second one by the time they test for their yellow belt, and so on and so forth until they know all 5 of them. Many of the students also learn them in Japanese, whereas we don't require that. It's out there, and a lot of the students like to learn them in Japanese, and I like that too. The other thing that we ask the students to learn are the guiding principles. And these are fairly long sentences. They tell a little bit more of a story. And we do ask them to learn them all from the time that they're around a blue belt all the way up to, or an intermediate belt, all the way up until they reach their black belt. The difference between these two groups of things that we ask them to memorize is that the dojo kuns, the things that we ask them to memorize earlier on and are a little bit simpler to learn, are really rules for life. strive for a good moral character, to keep an honest and sincere way, cultivate a spirit of perseverance, to develop a respectful attitude, and to restrain from physical aggression through spiritual attainment. Those are the 5 dojo kuns that we ask our students to learn, because we want them to understand very early on that the things that we're teaching them are serious, they can be considered dangerous, and before we start getting ourselves involved in learning dangerous things, we want to make sure that we understand the importance of respect and courtesy and perseverance, and how important it is to try to avoid physical confrontation. Then, as we start teaching them the martial arts, we start instilling in them the concepts of the guiding principles, the 10 guiding principles, which I'm not going to recite for you because they'll take us quite a long time in this video to do that. I know them though, I do know them. But the 10 guiding principles are really more about rules for learning the martial arts, how to view the martial arts, how to, the mindset for martial arts. And there are some things that cross over between the dojo kuns and the martial arts. Like, for example, to try to avoid confrontation is something that is both a way to live life and a way to learn martial arts. And it's through not only memorizing these things and having them be able to say them, we want them to actually understand what the meanings of these things are. And we often use them as teaching opportunities. When something happens in class, we're able to refer back to either the guiding principles or the dojo kuns. And that gives them a really good reference point, a good foundation for understanding ways of living life and ways of learning the martial arts. And that means that we don't have to have them screaming and yelling, "Yes, ma'am, yes, sir, we are a black belt school," every 5 minutes in the class. The reason why they know that they're going to be respectful to the instructor is because that's the only thing that anyone else is doing, and that's what the instructor is doing for them. We don't have to tell them that we're a black belt school, because we've got black belts that are up in front of the room and they're teaching their classes, and the students are eager to move through the ranks with that ultimate goal of achieving, the black belt. And we find ourselves not having to have to scream at them that this is a black belt school, and that makes for a much quieter environment. We have plenty of noise during our regular classes. We don't need to fabricate artificial noise as well. And so that's really 2 things that we instill in our students, the dojo kuns and the guiding principles. They're available on our website if you're interested in reading about them. I'd be happy to point you in that direction. You can just comment below and I'll put the link into the dojo kuns and the guiding principles. It's these are things that are helpful to martial artists, but the dojo kuns are a way of life for everybody. And if you really kind of work through your day trying to live up to those 5 dojo kuns, you'll probably be received pretty well by your peers. So in any case, that's the end of Time Out Tuesday for today, episode 107. I hope everyone's having a fantastic winter, and I will speak to you next week. Peace.